I wanted students to feel like when they write, their words matter, and their words matter to society, and their words matter to their peers. I had the idea of working on an ebook with students because I wanted to combat the problem of what felt to be mass misinformation. Another concern I was having was that in student writing, I felt like students used a kind of voice that was directed towards me as a professor. And I didn't like that voice because it felt like the audience was extremely narrow. So the final project, the big innovation project that we were doing, is creating an ebook titled Pandemics, Past and Pending. I want it to be easily distributed and easily picked up, and I want it to have some sense of longevity so that students could see that the things that we do in class matter for the greater world, that it's not just limited to the classroom, but that it has the possibility and potential for an impact greater than themselves.
This was the first class in which I had to co-write an academic paper with a fellow student. Going into the class with the expectation that we'd be working with others in the class, I think right off the bat led to a completely different, sort of more collaborative experience with my classmates. Each class was about workshopping everyone else's sort of ideas and questions rather than just specifically engaging with whatever topic that had kind of emerged from the readings.
When dealing with a heavy-handed, depressing subject, it was really important to find moments of joy. Going to the archive for us was a lot of fun because it let us look at old photographs and posters. No, it wasn't all doom and gloom, even though it was like we're talking about life and death, because I think what makes it not about doom and gloom is that you see these tenacious efforts to find life and joy.
Over the course of this class, I came to realize just how important imagery and visualization was for engaging with health and disease. And so something that I found actually really useful to think with for the chapter was a map from 1943 that was drawn actually by Dr. Seuss. And it was distributed for the war effort, and it shows in red where malaria risks are highest. Our visits to the archives were really, really powerful and really memorable. So that was definitely thanks to both sort of the introductions that Juno gave to us, but also because of the expertise of the librarians that were introducing us to these archives. So, putting on the rubber gloves and just flipping through these really special documents and even learning about how they ended up at Cornell was really moving at times, and also very difficult at times to try to reconcile the fact that you were sort of leafing through documents that had a lot of personal meaning to someone who lived and maybe died before you.
I think the ultimate innovation of this was seeing how you can make different kinds of arguments. Some that are textual, some that are visual, some that are a combination of both. What the students produced in terms of genre was really across the board. So it really differed, and I'm glad it gave the space to students to explore what kind of voice to sing in, as scholars in the making,
The task of putting together an ebook or just any sort of, collaborative project was, I think, challenging from the start because of the fact that people had different writing styles, had different, frames of reference or thinking that were influencing how they wrote. And so the curation process, I think, has been trying to respect people's individual styles as much as possible, but still, try to make this a more cohesive project. I think it gave me an interesting insight into, the particular challenges of, putting together any sort of book collection.
One of the chapters that I actually really like a lot is the one which is about remembering the pandemic and identifying the things that we experienced, but we might forget. We live under these strange times, the strangest things become normal and then they become forgotten. So it's actually really good to remember those things. And so I want this piece to be a statement of the time, and I think it is.